Hello.
Hello, good night.
Good evening, how are you?
Stole the spotlight. The discussions were wide-ranging. Whatever the situation, in whichever ministry, the Prime Minister could and did address the issue.
The introduction of the credit reporting system. Tourism has done well. We're spending $70-odd billion a year on education.
And there was some shifting of the portfolios within the OPM. Information changed leadership. Out went Olivia Grange to another ministry. In came Dial Vaz. He had to hit the ground running.
I had a meeting today with the minister responsible for information and telecommunications and with his team to look at the new IT policy that we are rolling out.
The draft policy has already been the subject of extensive consultations, and Mr. Speaker, I have invited the members from East Kingston and Port Royal and South East Centon, both opposition spokespersons, to participate in the final review of this document.
Minister Vaz is also in charge of special projects. A slew of those got off the ground in 2009. The government of Jamaica and the Inter-American Development Bank (IDB) partnered to develop an information and communications project. This has been extended to June of this year to facilitate further development in the online tax payment system. Much was also accomplished at the Jamaica Information Service. Last year marked the completion of a revised corporate and operating plan. The 4-year plan outlines a strategic direction to assist the agency in carrying out its mandate.
And JIS believes that we can play an integral role in changing the behavior of our society.
Indeed, a change in direction is imminent. As one hears the name of this agency, it becomes synonymous with Vision 2030. It's Jamaica's first ever long-term development plan.
Oh yeah. What is that? Tell me more.
The medium-term socio-economic framework from 2009 to 2012 was also implemented. The social well-being of Jamaicans was not to be placed on the back burner.
Let's be smart, Jamaica needs a fresh start.
Fresh meaning renewed vigor. Fresh meaning a readiness for action.
That's being done through the National Transformation Program led by Reverend Al Miller. It focuses on 12 core values and attitudes. Courtesy of the e-learning project, over 164 high schools and over 5 community colleges were outfitted with audiovisual equipment, CDs and DVDs, along with other educational equipment. In July, approximately $2.8 billion Jamaican dollars was committed to the project through the Universal Access Fund UAF. Commitments were also made to transform the postal services through public and private partnerships. In the National Land Agency, plans were advanced to change the paper on which certificate of titles are printed to reduce the possibility of fraud. The full paper change is to take effect in March. Plans were also announced to establish a national spatial unit within the OPM. The unit will work with the relevant government agencies to help develop the National Spatial Plan. The Local Government Reform Program topped the agenda for State Minister Robert Montague. Its aim to promote self-sufficiency at the local level.
The effectiveness and subsequent victory of local governance depends greatly on the ability of individuals and institutions to be fully aware of their responsibilities.
Ministries and agencies falling under local government also had to pull up their socks. The Fire Brigade launched its Citizens Charter in September. One aim, to define the agency's responsibility to citizens and vice versa. A high point for local government was the Commonwealth Local Government Forum, which convened for the first time in the Caribbean.
Sometimes we don't have all the answers, and it is when you interact with others, you learn from others, and others as well do learn from us. To encircle Nadia.
Then there were the bittersweet moments, like the May 2009 launch of the Ananda Alert system to guide the speedy recovery of missing children. Microsoft Corporation pledged to provide CATS a child abduction tracking system to assist the government in its efforts.
Mr. Speaker, the funds achievement for 1 year are worthy of recognition.
That is the Constituency Development Fund CDF. Projects approved in the 08-09 financial year accounted for 98.5% of the fund's annual collection, or just over $2.3 billion.
We made good on our commitment, Mr. Speaker, to ensure that employment was generated for thousands of Jamaicans through the execution of CDF projects.
We're going to protect health and education and security and the social safety net. As to what will happen to the CDF, which falls among the rest, I can't say at this stage.
Jamaicans were more than grateful in 2009 as the country was not hit by any hurricane or major storm. Still, persons here at the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management left nothing to chance. A pilot community disaster mitigation plan was officially presented to residents of Trinityville in St. Thomas. The aim is to help residents become first responders in the event of a natural disaster in their community.
You've produced a plan. There's an opportunity for you to look at your challenges and to come up with projects towards mitigating these challenges. And I think there is much that you can accomplish if you stay together and you remain a united force.
The Urban Development Corporation, UDC, did its share of the work. Ground was broken for the establishment of the Montego Bay Convention Center and a master plan developed for the Caymanis estate. We now turn to the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA. The agency initiated a series of stakeholders' consultations to protect and preserve the Kingston Harbour. It's the latest move in a bid to tackle pollution problems in the harbour. And with much emphasis being placed on micro, small and medium-sized enterprises, MSMEs,
they have a flexibility which larger enterprises do not have. It brings significant advantages and represents, in my view, a substantial part of the way forward.
The Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ, provided $2 billion in loan funding. The National Housing Trust, NHT2, had a busy year. Several new projects were rolled out to help Jamaicans secure home ownership.
Some of them, for example, are housing lots that we're going to be providing to those persons who can take the time and build something of their own.
There's a guiding objective.
How do we structure the payment for the houses in such a way that more people can afford?
As such, these policy initiatives were introduced to make it easier for first-time home buyers. In the year 2009, a number of foreign heads of state were invited to the island by the Office of the Prime Minister to engage in bilateral discussion. They included the Vice President of the People's Republic of China, His Excellency Xi Jinping, and His Majesty King Juan Carlos and Queen Sofia of Spain. OPM also engaged in dialogue with Ghana's President Barty Jagdeo, who addressed the weekly post-cabinet press briefing, and Jakaya Kikwete and Stephen Harper, who both addressed a joint sitting of both houses of parliament. Point of information, Jamaica was well represented at the CARICOM Heads of Government meeting led by Prime Minister Bruce Golding. The main issue at the meeting was the global response to climate change. The year that was for the Office of the Prime Minister is not quite through yet. When and bleeps were banned from the airwaves by the Broadcasting Commission. Songs with certain keywords like daggering were banned, so too were those songs promoting murder and other acts of violence. A citizens-based media monitoring program was also introduced. And that's how it was here at the Office of the Prime Minister in 2009. No doubt 2010 will be another challenging and eventful year. From the Office of the Prime Minister in Kingston, I'm Andrea Chisholm for GIS TV's Rewind 2009.
My youth and youth, why are we so violent? Is it because of the movies? Is it because